Steve.
Man, you need to buy yourself a gun.
What?
Gun.
What?
Like a handgun. For personal protection. If somebody tries to mug you.
What?
What if your government tries to throw you in a can?
What?
You're gonna want a shotgun.
Oh. What?
An automatic rifle. And a lot of ammo.
Gun?
Yeah, gun.
We're all set to riot. Buy a gun before you lose your Second Amendment. Buy a gun. They'll burn you out like a Waco. They'll stick your ass in a camp. Check for the cops in riot gear. Gonna kick your ass and laugh. The revolution is on its way. Better lock and load your AK. Buy a gun, 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 buy a gun before you wish you bought a gun. Buy a gun, 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 buy a gun before you wish you bought a gun. We're all set to riot. Buy a gun before you lose your Second Amendment. Buy a gun. They gave your money to the banksters. They stole your pension funds. It's time that we took to the streets. It's time we had our turn. A revolution is on its way, and the founding fathers would say, buy a gun, 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 buy a gun before you wish you bought a gun. Buy a gun, 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 buy a gun before you wish you bought a gun. Riot in the streets. Revolution's not clean and neat. You gotta riot in the streets. Revolution's not clean and neat. You gotta drag them through the streets.
Yes.
Thank you. All right. I guess I was looking and I didn't see it. I was looking at the chat. Anyhow, anybody who wants to call in tonight, the number is 718-717-8296. And if you don't know much about anything and you just want to ask questions, I am free to have any sort of discussion about what you want. Or we can go over a couple of news stories that I found to be kind of interesting in light of current events and world situation. So 718-717-8296. Oh, okay. So I guess everything's working now. So anyhow, welcome to PrimerTime. Nick is off, and I'm stuck here. And you people better call in and help save this shipwreck. Because if not, I'm going to have to read things, and I'm going to have to get mad and have to say things that people probably wouldn't like, and whatever. I'll say it anyways. Anyhow, we see that all kinds of interesting things are happening right now. I've got, let's see, the Social Security Administration is introducing a gun ban for some recipients of Social Security. And I find it to be kind of an interesting thing. It's a very short step from Social Security recipients to veterans and especially veterans that who would be considered disabled. So anyhow, the Social Security Administration has released details on the looming gun ban, which was first discovered as it was being fashioned behind closed doors in July of 2015. Let's see. It says the ban would apply to Social Security beneficiaries who were ruled mentally deficient or labeled with a mental illness moniker. Once having categorized as having mental health problems, the beneficiaries would be reported to the National Instant Criminal Background Check System and added to the prohibited persons list, thereafter barred from purchasing guns. According to the Times, one of the measures of mental health stability would be whether or not beneficiaries could handle their own finances or not. Based on this measure alone, up to 4.2 billion Social Security beneficiaries were believed to be susceptible of losing their Second Amendment rights. Now, that on its face is, well, intolerable. I mean, we're in a nation with a faltering economy, and I believe that somebody who's completely dependent on Social Security, I'm guessing it's now, let's say you get full Social Security benefits, I bet you it's somewhere less than $1,200 a month, maybe less than $1,500 a month. Yeah, it'd be hard to manage your entire finances on that. I mean, that can't be a qualifier. So, I mean, it's got to be, I don't know. I find no hope in the situation of working within the system anymore, and it pains me to see the pure pulchritude that occurs with this ongoing spectacle of politics and the great big lie we're being fed. So anyhow, any callers out there, I would totally appreciate somebody calling in. 718-717-8296. That would be wonderful. We could talk about whatever you want. We could talk about your pet fish. We could talk about chemtrails. We could talk about, I talked to you about the book of Timothy and whether or not we're in the end times. I had an interesting conversation with Jehovah's Witnesses one time, not too long ago. It was fairly a lot of fun. So anyhow, the Social Security thing is really kind of disgusting. It's just another sign of what's inevitable coming in. I don't see a happy end to this. There's lots of talk of the potential Clinton gun grab, and yeah, it's like an Australia-style forced buyback, a mandatory turn-in, compensated turn-in, and yeah, it's pretty bad. So that would be nice. I would like to take that call if Vince is on the line.
Vince just disconnected. I don't know where he went to.
What a bum. That's the head fake from Vince. Damn you.
Hey, Vince, you're connected, and then you don't say anything. Call back.
Vince he's just playing a game with me. He's like, oh, let me throw a booger at this dude.
He'll call back.
So anyhow, so I do you see people worried about it on your side of the world?
Me?
Yeah.
What's that?
Do you see people worried about like a gun grab on your side of the world? I hate to drag you in like that, but
in New York, we've been dealing with it for a while after the SAFE Act passed, but everything's been quiet. There he is.
Hey, Jules.
Hi, Vince.
Hi, Michael.
Hey, what's up, Vince?
Hey. Just listening in, I thought, maybe that Social Security thing might be good to talk about in my situation and just as comparison.
All right. So, do you want to give a little background as to what you're talking about?
Yeah. So I've already got Social Security since '99 with rheumatoid arthritis. A few folks here listening, friends, and I know you haven't seen pictures of my hand, anyways. Michael and
I know what you're talking.
Hello. Anyways, when I first applied for disability, they set me an appointment, and I told them, I said, you know what, and I never have wanted to take it, but I said, I believe I'm going to try to find something else to do.
Vince, hold on one second. We have another caller on the line. I'm not sure who that is.
Yeah, I'm here. This is Cracker.
Okay, it's Cracker.
What up, Cracker?
Okay, sorry.
Hey, not much. I just thought I'd call in and talk with you about whatever you want to talk about. I don't care.
Let's talk about the state of decay and appropriate pocket pistols. And how do you feel? Because this is kind of this whole thing with the Social Security Administration making a gun grab kind of almost is up your alley, because it's not more than a hop, skip, and a jump from people on SSI who have some sort of, quote unquote mental disability to a veteran with PTSD.
That's going to be their next story to play with, I think. They can say anything is a mental condition. Fact is, I guess they could even create one if they wanted to.
Well, I believe that in the DSM-5 there are new disabilities that have been created, and some of them actually directly relate to, do you not believe things are exactly as you are told they are? And if you don't, you are mentally deficient.
Nothing we're told is actually the way that it really is, that I've seen. I mean, we go back to the time when we were little kids, the things we were told, the older we get, the more we see through it, the more lies you see. Then you start looking for it, and all you see is lies. It's a real bummer. Going out of the VA is, like I say, I thought you guys know what I think about the VA, but I only talk about my VA, the one that I go to, and I go to the best one in the entire country, and I mean that's a fact. It really is. But I hear horror stories from other people who go to different ones. We've got one over here called Bay Pines that's just across the bay from me, and it's lousy. It's not it's a whole different world. I'm getting to think it's like you go into one restaurant and the restaurant runs good and everybody gets food and everybody gets good food, heat, the service is well, the place is clean. You go into another one, it's the exact same kind of franchise or whatever, and it's not like that at all. So, it's how it's being run. But I'm telling you what, this you can see this election cycle we're having right now should be screaming red flags to 99% of the population. It's just not doing it. I mean, we know what's going on because we've been looking at it for a long, long time.
Right.
But it's just
I know that Vince is a convinced Trump voter.
I didn't understand what you just said.
I said that Vince is a confirmed Trump voter, as I think you are. I mean, I think you believe in the vision as laid forth by God and Führer Trump, right?
I'm not. I'm disappointed with everybody that's running.
I'm kidding.
And just like this, if Trump was to win and get in there and do half of what he says he's going to do, I truly believe he will be a dead man.
Absolutely, yeah. No.
Absolutely.
Yeah,
so you're looking at it realistically, not looking at it through rose-colored glasses, but looking through it as it actually is. It doesn't matter who goes in. If they don't play the game right, they're not going to be playing for long.
That's absolutely for sure.
Yep.
Well, I mean, look, we got Vince on the line. He's a wealth of knowledge about what happens when things kind of go wrong in a confrontation with the man.
Well,
I'm listening.
It's come to a point in time where everything's exactly the opposite of what most Americans suppose what this country's supposed to stand for. Where we have a blind faith, and to our own detriment. I mean, we send our sons and daughters off to die in these corporate wars, and it's all just set against us for a system of slavery. So, and I think
so.
Really,
let me ask. Let me throw a kind of a directly related question to like the general premise of this show. When you were there, and you were there when there was actual federal conflict, right?
Yeah. I was there. I covered it. I camped out there for a few weeks back and forth. I took a lot of video. I interviewed a lot of people. I didn't go. I don't have any guns or nothing. I went there to stand as a witness and stand.
No, you didn't go there to fight. You just went there to document. I'm aware of that. And yeah, we should make that very clear. You were there to document, not to have any kind of partisan say in the matter.
I was there in the fight in the sense that I stood as witness and as a voice against the atrocities that have been committed by and being committed by government. I mean, just completely. If a person's American and believe in the American way, they went against posse comitatus to bring federalized armed agents against American people. That true posse comitatus gives right for the power of the people to stand in opposition and voice that opposition and call for a redress of grievances, and especially when going peaceful and going with a peaceful protest. Just because you got a gun on your head or a slung on your shoulder doesn't mean you're not.
Let's get to the gun portion, because once you involve the badge, and I'm going to use the badge as like a generic term, because it doesn't matter if it's federal or local cop or the dog catcher, whoever's got a badge and a gun, they've got the authority, in that immediate aspect. There were people there that we could always assume, number one, that the feds were well armed. That's not a joke. The people who were there in support of the Bundy Ranch were armed. What did you see as far as armaments? And in that confrontation moment, how did you think? How close did you think it was to somebody just being a yahoo and not minding booger hooks and bangs?
You know what? I would back up some to. I got there on the. Let's see. It happened the 12th, so I got there the 11th. I was there all day, stayed up all night. Me and Jason Patrick, a fellow person in media who's now hailed in Oregon, he and I were talking outside the marshaling yard on top of the hill there, where the big poles and flags was, and that little trailer there. And I didn't even know it, but Ammon Bundy was inside there, and he'd been listening to Jason and myself talk, and we said, this could be potentially very volatile. And we really need to be keeping an eye out on anybody that would be looking out of place, because we expected some provocateurs, somebody to come in and try to.
But I mean, aside from provocateurs, and Cracker can back me up in this, and he's got the training that deals with this in particular. But in a moment of crisis, it's like where you put your finger on the trigger is paramount. I think Cracker would agree with me, right?
Yeah, I'm having a little bit of trouble hearing you guys. I don't know if you can hear me fine or not, but I'm here. I'm not hearing the whole conversation. I'm listening to what I can hear. I can hear Vince pretty good, but sometimes you're kind of in and out.
I'm sorry about that.
Oh, not a problem.
Well, what I'm saying is in a tense confrontation, you'd say that like your trigger discipline is kind of paramount importance.
It'd be my opinion that nobody had their on our side, anyways, had their finger on the trigger. I believe they were all. Everybody showed really good self-restraint there. There was really discipline. There were a lot of militia members there. Some people have some problems with the Oath Keepers leadership and stuff like that. But all that aside, the people that showed up, and I met many, and I interviewed several. I have a lot of videos on my YouTube channel of people that, common folks that I met there that had a word to say. they were really good people. They were there for the right intention. They were there to be a buffer, to stand. Like I love to say this, to stand in the gap despite their fear. Because I know for one myself, everybody sees that Fox reporter that goes up to the gate. Well, when we first went there, I went to the line of police in the center of the interstate there, and I'm not kidding you. I was shaking so bad, I dropped my phone, and they were like, don't come any further. And I'm pulling up my shirt and turning around. I'm not armed. I've got questions for the folks, what's going on here and so forth. But I came to a point where they just like stood there and looked at me, and I'm like, well. And then somebody hollers out, they got them pinned down under the bridge, and everybody just went and went down. It was maybe half a mile, I guess, down the interstate. I was pretty worried. I got down there and I got up under the bridge. As it turns out, I was right under that sniper, the one that the famous shots are, I guess, on the bridge. The guy
where
that called the sniper
where
on the bridge.
he's kind of prone and he's pointing the rifle through like a crack in the barriers.
Exactly. Yeah, I look at videos. I find them every once in a while. I see me in there. I was on interviewed also on Channel 3 by Antonio Castellan in Channel 3 Las Vegas. I was in the background on I think it was Channel 8, but it says free the weed, so I gave a little demonstration on live TV, and I said, I told the camera, I said, I had a message to get out there, and he says, I think you got her done. So that was perfect. But really good folks there. Like I said, they were all sincere about it, and people came from all over the country, and a few folks came in from different parts of the world and came through.
How heavily armed? How heavily armed would you say that the opposing police were, and
they were.
How many?
They looked like mercenaries. They looked like guys that would come in into town and just take a town out, in Afghanistan or something like that. I mean, very coordinated. They had, I think, 100 and some odd vehicles. I thought I had a count of 200 when I counted them coming out, but I guess I miscounted according to another calculation. But suppose 200 armed federal agents, and I don't know how many people went down to the gate, but there were, several hundred. I want to say at least 600 folks out there at the time on the 12th of April of 2014.
So you would say that the private citizens outnumbered the 2-to-1?
Oh, for certain. Yeah. It made them very nervous. They had no choice back down, or create a bloodbath. And that was the moment of greatest concern, that there would be somebody that would take that first shot, or provoke it, because there were people like that. The murderers, the husband and wife there. I won't even mention their name. They killed those two policemen there in Las Vegas. Those two cops worked the same beat as my cousin out there. Personal, that shot him right over there in the part of town where I lived when I was a kid, where my brother lives now, right up close to Nellis Air Force Base. I lived up in Moapa Valley, right there, just right down the road there at the interstate from Bunkerville, and went to school in 8th grade out there. Came back a little later as a teenager. I lived there in Moapa. I lived up in Mesquite, worked at the Pepper Mills Western Village, worked in Glendale. So
you've seen that these people were a little bit off now. Now, Cracker, you've got the military background. In a situation like that, what kind of training did they give you? I mean, kind of looking at it from both sides.
Well, the way I look at this is I wonder what would have happened if there hadn't been so many armed people there to help those people. What would the government have done then?
Oh, they'd have done whatever they wanted to do, just like. And
then you ask, when will the shooting start? The shooting would have started if they would have been attacked. If those people would have been attacked, they'd shot back.
Well, the feds did attack in the very beginning when they're coming out of the hills with a dump truck and a backhoe there. Hammond and his brother David, they wanted to have a look, see what was in the back there. They suspected they'd been up there doing some damage, and maybe they'd killed some cows and sold them off in there, and they wanted an inspection. So, that turned into a confrontation where elderly women were knocked to the ground, and
I saw that. I saw that. That's not what I'm talking about. I'm talking about bullets killing people.
Well,
if they'd attacked them like that, they'd have shot back. Huh?
Yes, sir. That would have been the
Yeah,
next
that would have been the next step, but it didn't happen. That's what I'm saying. If all those people hadn't have been there, this whole thing would have went down totally different than what it did.
You bet.
I guess that's Ruby Ridge is an example of what happens when there's nobody there to help.
Yeah, on Waco.
And then when then we had the Vance Davidian compound, and they just built up enough force around there that they just drove a tank in and burned the place to the ground. I mean, you know, at what point do people realize that this voting it drives me crazy when I hear these people babble about, you know, they're going to vote for this person, they're going to vote for that person. They've been doing it for 30 or 40 years, just like I have, and it ain't changed a damn thing for the better. We just keep this country just sliding farther and farther and farther down into the pits of hell. That's all I see. I don't see it getting any better. And then I hear the mainstream media talking their bullshit about how much better things are getting. Unemployment's only 5.2%, 5.1%, or whatever it is. Who's dumb enough to believe that?
Math. You have to use the common core math.
It does. You know, hey man, I got a Peter. I'm supposed to go in a boy's bathroom, not a girl's bathroom.
All
and
right,
if a girl's got a hoo-hoo, she's supposed to go in a girl's bathroom. We're not supposed to have a bunch of freaks walking around out there wondering, I feel like I'm a girl today. I'm going to go into the woman's bathroom. What kind of madness are we living in now?
But here, let's ask the bigger question. The outhouse is for both boys and girls. So
let me ask the bigger question. Where had they been going up to this point?
If they want to find mental illness, they don't have to look very damn far. People calling shots are batshit crazy.
I think that's a manufactured event all on its very own right there.
Oh, I'm sure it is. But manufactured event or not, the law's going to be the law.
I find that's odd. That's one of the attention grabbing items that's really just dominating the headlines. I mean, North Carolina is going to lose its highway funding or something because it's got some funky law like that. Where did these people go to the bathroom like 3 months ago or a year ago?
Yeah, it's a hard call, ain't it?
I mean,
the government likes to threaten to cut off.
All this is to baffle them with bullshit, and that's what they're doing. That's what they're doing. They're just that's what we see. That's what we're seeing spread is a big thick layer of bullcrap, and it just gets more and more, and it piles higher and higher, and it starts. I don't know about you guys, but it's starting to stink really bad to me.
Well, it's been stinking for a very long time. Go back and see how they threatened to cut off funding if they didn't, reduce speed limit to 55 miles an hour back in the 70s. Then they come along with mandatory insurance and mandatory seat belts and, one ruling after another, one ordinance.
Lights on your bicycle.
Yeah.
If you're walking home on the sidewalk drunk, you can be a public menace.
Well,
they can create laws to arrest you for anything they want, anytime they want, and that's what they're doing. We're seeing law enforcement in general just get bolder and bolder and bolder, aren't we?
I'd say.
And does anyone honestly think that they're going to do a check and balance on themselves?
Well, they investigated themselves and they found themselves not guilty.
Well,
I feel so much better now. Thank you.
I had my dad's cousin in Tulsa when I was a kid growing up. He was a canine cop up in Oklahoma, and I remember him telling a story one time where they chased this fellow down in a truck, and finally he wrecked, and they shot him. And when the investigator got there and rolled him over, he had 6 or 8 guns up under him. Back when they also had a throwdown. So it's not like there's not been corruption all along, kind of like a fraternity in a way, that blue line that has this.
It's the same kind of fraternity that a gang has.
It's a violation.
Oh, it's absolutely, it's a mob. It's a mob. I mean, and
it's
now
gang mentality. There's no question about it.
And now it's in your face. I mean, you can see it when you drive down the highway and you see, mom's minivan and it's got that little blue line sticker on it. They're not going to get pulled over for doing 75. And
so that means it's blue. It's a blue and black. It's a little bitty sticker down on the bumper. Usually, and what that points out that's a law enforcement family.
Right.
Someone in that family is involved in law enforcement. And let me tell you what, you're right. They're not going to get pulled over. And the cops, when they're off duty, they drive like fucking madmen. And they don't get pulled over. But you get out there and try to drive like that and see what happens.
I'll tell you what. I know more than a couple guys who come back from Iraq and Afghanistan, and I would say in their first year and a half back, they all drive like maniacs, and I think it's hard for them to lose that. I don't know if you've ever seen any videos of how they drive in Iraq and Afghanistan, but they own the road. And
I'm talking about police officers, how they drive.
Well, what I'm saying is I think police are getting that same kind of training, or
you bet
maybe
they
not
are.
even that same kind of training at this point, but they've got that same kind of like hype and vibe. Like they watch the videos of that. And, I want to drive like that. I got a badge.
Go back to training from a young age with the video games. Look, there's an entire
but I mean it's beyond that. I mean
they've been so programmed.
But
like
it's a base urge. It's a primal base urge, and it usually applies to the more immature people who haven't had an opportunity to like deal with it. I mean, all right, I used to be a firefighter and work for an ambulance company, and one of the coolest things ever to do was when I was like doing that was to take the ambulance and go park it at Walmart right in front of the building and just go and cruise around Walmart, walk around and look at women and look sharp, and then get into the ambulance right in front of the store. Who's going to give me a ticket? I can do it. I got the power, and I didn't have no power. So, I mean,
perceived authority.
Dude,
I don't know if either one of you saw. I don't know if either one of you saw a post I put on. Did you see a post I put on about law enforcement? Would law enforcement confiscate weapons if they were told to? Did you see that post?
No, but I guarantee you they'll do it.
Well, I read it, and it was saying, the northern cops would be more apt to doing it than southern cops would, but it was a southern cop they were talking to, a southern law enforcement. And what he was saying is, no, they would refuse the order, but the reason they would refuse the order is this is the reason he gave. He said they would refuse the order because they have not been trained to go door to door, and that it would be a death sentence for cops if they started doing that, and they know that. So, I'm listening, I'm reading that, and I'm thinking, wait a minute here. Now, you're not saying you wouldn't do that because it's unconstitutional, taking our Second Amendment away from us. You're not saying it's anything to do with right or wrong. You're saying you wouldn't do it because you're not trained to do it. So am I to believe that if they were trained to do it, that they would do it? I read that as a yes. How do you see it?
I totally, I know it's a yes. It's happened before. It'll happen again.
It has happened before. You get to look at Katrina and see that it happened before.
That's exactly what it's about. I mean, let's go with something very famous in our history. The Bonus Army riots of, what was that, like 1919? The United States Army fired on veterans, unarmed veterans for the most part, who were just asking for what they were promised. Or
Kent State ring a bell?
Yeah, but Kent State was only like 4 people, and that was.
That's true, but they fired on. They did it. They killed them.
Well,
they fired. It was only 4 people. So what if it had been 4,000?
I don't know. I think they got 3,500 score.
I'm telling you what. With the way the cops have been militarized in this country right now, you look two guys in Boston. 9,000 cops looking for him. 9,000 law enforcement.
Please stay in your home. Please stay in your home.
That's right. And that's martial law. And everybody just did it and said, well, that's cool. They're helping us. They're doing this for us. Are they? It was a training session for the sheep is what that was. And that's what all this stuff is. When they have these shows of Show of Power downtown, they've done 3 or 4 of them right here where I live. They come in and helicopters and rappel down on roofs and, they're firing blanks and stuff flying down through the middle of town. I mean, it's a sideshow. And you want to tell me that's to make people feel safe?
That's some crazy stuff.
That's to put the fear of God in them is what it's for.
Because your area is a big, you're in a fairly populous area. You're a major
metro.
Yeah,
for sure. No, there's nothing metro about this area.
Yeah, it's the opposite of metrosexual, I would guess. Yeah, I mean, it's look, they changed the uniforms to blend in with like smashed concrete.
Well, we have McGill Air Force Base here, and then up in North Florida, there's several bases up there, Naval Air Station, and they train a lot of special forces up there too. Florida's got a lot of bases.
I'll tell you what's interesting about Florida military bases. There's an Air Force base, Eglin Air Force Base, and it's one of the most widely connected military installations, or that area is, I guess, considered a city, and it's one of the most widely connected areas. It's like got connections to any kind of website. You can always ping back and find an entrance or a visitor from Eglin, Florida.
I'd like to talk maybe a little bit about how the feds are so involved at local levels now. I see here where feds have regular involvement at the local level, and also then the state police also join in. It seems like for any time they're going to serve a warrant, they've generally got a contingent. Most people are accepting that. They started out small. I think there's probably certainly more before this, but you can go back to the DARE program, then on into the domestic abuse units, and it's what they did. They came in and offered this really sweet deal, what appeared to be, and that as it turns out later on, they were the county level was obligated to this program and the payments and the cost of maintaining all the equipment and the cars for this domestic violence, and that was a really big thing for a while. That's what they really was hitting hard and heavy, working that in. Of course, now it's evolved into the real.
Well, domestic violence.
Meth.
Domestic violence is also a crime that they can confiscate firearms for. They'll roll in and they'll SWAT team a home. If a guy's got some sort of domestic violence complaint against him, yeah, they got no problem going in and checking to see if he's got a couple firearms that he should have surrendered. It's happened many times before. I think they kind of live for that.
Yeah, I think a lot of cops are adrenaline junkies. Like I've said a lot of times before here in Arkansas, you know what? Most of these guys here are all local boys that been growed up around here, and they're good folks. They have consideration, but I don't care. This drug war ain't good, and it makes aggravates the situation. I can be more specific on that, but what you do have is a degenerate bunch of people that.
Well, the drug war is going to lead to all sorts of conflict with the firearms laws.
Yeah.
I'll give an example. A close family member of mine lived in a state that had a medical marijuana card, and this family member obtained a medical marijuana card, and I'd say about 3 weeks after she got the card, she got a letter from the state saying that she was required to surrender any firearms she owned, and she was now prohibited from purchasing firearms.
Yeah, how do you like that?
Yeah,
weed, man.
Amazing, isn't it?
And now you have to combine that with the recent news that the VA was considering cannabis as a treatment for PTSD in veterans, and they're trialing
That's
it
right.
now in Colorado. So now you're a veteran, and you've been 2 years in Iraq and Afghanistan, and you know what? A doobie would help you have a better day, but you can't have a gun.
Well, it's okay if they take and send you over to another country and have you murder, maim, and kill. That's perfectly all right. But you see, when you come back home, the ones you might be murder, maiming, and killing will be the ones that are doing wrong. And who might that be? Your next door neighbor? No, I don't think so.
No.
Well, could it be somebody down at the food mart? No, I don't think so either. You're over there risking your life and fighting for freedom, and come home to find out that these bastards have stripped it from us? Can you figure out who they're going to be pissed off at? Can you understand why they have a right to fear the veterans? They have a right to fear the veterans because they know the veterans know what the real problem is. That's why they don't like us. That's the only reason they don't like us.
Veterans have the skill. I mean, you only have to go back to seriously, right before the rise of Hitler, there was a communist uprising in Germany in 1919, just a little while after the Treaty of Versailles, right? And there was thousands in that communist league that rose up, and they were armed. They had guns, but there was a military contingent that was ex-soldiers, and they came in and crushed them dudes in 3 days. And
Mike, we got a front row seat. We have a front row seat of seeing a country being occupied right this minute.
Where have we been occupied?
So what I'm saying is a dude with some training, or 3 dudes with some training, totally beats 10 yahoos with guns.
Oh,
yeah,
beyond a doubt.
And the fact that all these guys that they've been gathering up, nobody has put up a fight. You think if all these guys were so bad that, like Jerry Dilemmas, he was, I think he's a really great man. He was one of the, head guys there, I guess, of militia and, set patrols and stuff. So they've charged him a lot of things. I had the chance to interview him there, and that was me in the very beginning, learning how to interact out there and meet folks. And I felt like I just was kind of trying to set him up with some pointed questions and lead it away, towards other freedoms of marijuana. And I decided not to even publish that, but I did have the chance about 2 or 3 weeks before they arrested him to interview him on radio. I think he's a great guy, and people like that are standing up for other folks and putting their lives on the line and their freedoms on the line. That's what our country was supposed to be founded upon.
That's exactly what our founding fathers did.
Well, there was recently,
there's no question about it.
As recently as 3 years ago, there was a CIA study that said that 3.5% of the population in unison, in conjoined thought and working together would be enough to topple the federal government. 3.5%.
Look at how brazen law enforcement and the federal government is to a society that is armed to the teeth. But so far, nobody's called them to task. How brazen would they be?
Okay,
if we all did give up our firearms?
That kind of brings up a very, very interesting point, and I think that kind of lays into at least what I would consider to be our core audience would be people who are somewhat familiar with firearms, had firearms as a child, and grew up in an almost firearms culture, if not an actual firearms culture. They already kind of know that when you pull out the gun and you have to shoot at somebody, it's game on. It's for real. Things change big time. And the loss of the life of whatever you deem necessary to actually use a firearm for, there's all sorts of other shit that comes with it. Cops, legal, money, your life goes into disarray. You can't go to the goddamn gas station because the dude you shot's cousin is there or whatever, that kind of shit. So I think gun-owning Americans are almost hesitant to get into that situation and bring about that honestly a near fucking Armageddon that would happen.
Of course they are. Of course they are.
And I think that's when other nations look at us and say, well, you people have guns. Why don't you do it? Because it's not going to be just like, shoot 2 or 3 whatever's in your way and then the shit ends. No.
If things ever truly go to hell, it's going to be something most people aren't even going to be capable. They're not going to be capable to even cope with it. That's for sure.
Oh no!
But then, if things don't go all to hell, what option do we have at this point? What option do we have to really make change? I don't see any. If you point some out, I'm all ears.
In the system, there's none. The system.
There is absolutely none. That's right.
Is working. I like to think that the system is broken, but in reality, the system is working exactly as it's
the system is working exactly like it's designed to work.
Come on now, a vote for Trump to make America great again.
Hey, I saw that picture.
Scoop believes that, but I don't.
I'm going to make this very clear at this point in time for anybody that might be listening, and I want you to know that I was not one bit serious about that.
You were not one bit what?
I was not one bit serious about Trump making America great.
Oh.
Yeah,
I saw a picture of Trump eating a taco salad.
We got the best government that money can buy, and believe me, it's a purchased government. It's got nothing to do with our votes. We only get to vote for who they put out there for us to vote for, and then at the end, they just like what I said before. At the very end, they tell you who and who is not electable, and like the lemmings that they are, they go to the booth and push the button, pull the lever, scrabble the chat, whatever the hell they do. But the same thing happens. You know what? If it don't come out right, then we're going to have to recount. And we're going to recount this till we get what we want.
Look at the Ted Cruz episode, right? He was going to ride this thing until the wheels come off. He was going to ride the horse until it died at the gates of the convention, and then he was going to raise hell at the convention. He was stealing delegates left, right, and center behind the scenes. He was lying Ted. He was standing up for whatever he believed in, talking over people's head like an attorney. And then Trump dropped the bomb about Pops Cruz being somehow hooked up in the JFK thing. And all that fiery brimstone rhetoric changed like within 7 hours. Shut it down.
Well, dirt is dirt. And they got topsoil. And they've got pig shit, but it's still dirt.
I think that's very, very interesting how that one worked out. I mean,
sure.
I mean, seriously, he was gonna ride that thing. I mean, that's what he was saying, that he wasn't giving up until the very last moment. Blah blah blah, and 7 hours later, goodbye.
Folded like a wilted petunia.
I think he got the call. I think he retire to the bench, pal.
Well, this is going to be interesting to watch, but I still think Hitler's going in.
Yeah, I think she is.
Did you say Hitler? Did you say Hitler, Cracker?
Yeah.
Yeah.
The female Hitler. Hitler's going in.
And the problem is when the real Hitler came in, everything was cool until he got like hooked up with that doctor that like destroyed his thinking with those magical amphetamine and heroin and cocaine and pig urine and vitamin B shots that he was getting. Like,
well, listen, man. These people's mind are already completely ruined as it is. They're just they're refining the ruination now. That's what we see happening.
Hey, I would not be surprised at all to find out that Hillary freebases Palestinian child pineal gland. Dehydrated pineal gland to Palestinian children, on a weekly basis with I don't know.
We just need a few more chemtrails. You guys will vote for whoever we tell you to vote for. We just can't put the right stuff in the planes yet.
Hey, they don't have to do any chemtrails. They just put it in the macaroni and cheese. They'll put it in the
Big Macs. Hey, they better lay off the McRibs.
Yeah, I think it's a sacrilege to offend the McRib. You know, I mean, that's a national. We invented that.
I wonder if there's actually any real meat in that.
I don't think so. I saw one before it was cooked. It was the most disgusting looking thing you've ever seen. It looked like something out of a crypt.
Yeah, it's kind of gray. It looks like it's not
gray and
looking.
frozen.
It's not healthy looking.
No, but once they get that thing cooked and put the special sauce on, it sure tastes good.
Yeah, well, I think it's all right. So here's my little conspiracy theory. I think there's something in the McDonald's onions, like they've crossbred those with poppies or something, so you get the heroin high out of them. Because you combine McDonald's ketchup, pickles, and onions, and that's like a taste that triggers something inside me. And I could not stop on that stuff. On that one taste, and that might be something from my childhood or something. But those itty bitty tiny onions, that McDonald's ketchup and that McDonald's cheese is, it's like a binary or a tri-level narcotic or something that activates.
It trips something in your mind.
Right. Yeah, I'm like Pavlov's dog lusting after a cheeseburger.
It's all in the secret sauce.
Yeah, really.
What do you do? One thing's for sure, we got a front row seat. We're going to get to see what unfolds. But I don't think it's going to be anything beneficial for us.
You know what? You hear that with a whimper or a bang? I kind of tend to believe, everybody's been looking for the apocalypse for the last 2,000 years at least, and probably 2,000 years before that. But
there's been some places that had an apocalypse. If you went to
the way they're working it very, very slowly, and how Jules talks about it, that integrating man and machine. I tend to believe that it could very well possible that we'll just kind of ease on to our grave, and the next generation will be one step closer to total acceptance and total domination. And
then that one generation will wake up and they're sterile.
Yeah, that's already happening now.
Well, they're working on that too.
Yeah,
that's for sure. But you can't go to Cambodia and tell those people that they didn't see an apocalypse. You can't go to places in Vietnam and tell those people they didn't see an apocalypse. You can't go to a lot of places. Idi Amin made an apocalypse. I mean, it's just an apocalypse here, apocalypse there. So it has happened.
You bet.
It has happened, and it's going to happen again. We're watching the same damn shit that went down in Germany happen right here. And look at Germany now. What the hell's going on there now? They're being overrun. Switzerland's being overrun.
It's ugly. I've seen so many things. And here's the craziest thing that I've seen about the so-called Syrian refugees, and they keep on painting it like it's refugees from Syria, but it's really not. It's like refugees.
It sure is.
And I saw a picture, and I live in an oceanside community, a bayside community, so I kind of have a small knowledge of boats. And I saw the boat that these guys were on, and it had two 250 horsepower Yamaha engines on it, which are, them things are $30,000 a piece. This was probably, I'd say, at least a 40-foot long semi-rigid boat, which is like the one that kind of looks like it's got the inflatable on the side. And
the Marine Patrol has those here.
Right.
So that's like the Marine.
Right. Well, this boat must have had easy 80 people on it, and they were not the Syrians that you see on TV. These were purple African. And my question is who paid for that boat?
Probably us.
Well, I want to know.
Hey, where did they pick them up at?
I think you guys are just being ungrateful. It requires sacrifice. You can't think of the individual. You got to think of the greater good. I mean, long down the road, these people that they're doing some good thinking for us, and keeping us safe and looking forward to bettering mankind. So, in the meantime, they're just trying to do a little control, keep us.
Vince, I think you're totally on the ball. I saw that they're getting ready to plant like 25,000 refugees in like South Dakota because the climate and history of South Dakota is so congruent with the middle of the desert.
Oh, that's just what they need. 25,000 more, isn't it?
I think they're going to.
We're running out of countries to go bomb. We're going to have to bring these folks over here to home where we can bomb a little closer to home. Just think all the money that we can save in our military-industrial complex by keeping the war right here at home where it belongs. So we've got to radicalize some folks.
You're a genius. They'll save on travel costs.
Say that again.
Drone strikes for peace right here on the homeland. They're coming.
Save on travel costs. That's awesome. Hey, listen, we're getting close to the end.
If they have a fight here, they're not going to be selling enough munitions. They're still going to have to go to other countries to bomb the hell out of them too. I mean, you got to use that stuff. Just building and letting it lay around do nothing. That don't bring the money in. We need money coming in.
Hey, listen, we're real close to the end. I got to throw out the 4 rules of gun safety here real quick. And I'd appreciate if you guys would help me with the last one. So the first one is every firearm is loaded until you visually and physically inspect it. It is not loaded. Rule number 2, keep that barrel pointed in a safe direction. Don't cover anything you don't wish to destroy. Rule number 3 is know what your target is and know what's beyond your target. And the 4th and most important rule is
keep your booger hook off the bang switch.
Thank you.
That's it.
Thanks, Thanks, Cracker. Thanks, y'all in chat. Thank you, Jules.
Hey, no problem.
Thank you, Vincent. Hey. Cracker, thank you for coming on. I appreciate it.
Not a problem. You guys have a good evening.
You guys helped me rescue a potentially dangerous and explosive and flattening show. So thank you very much. I hope people enjoyed the conversation, and maybe if we offended anybody, well, sorry. And
all right, talk to you later. Bye-bye.
Thanks a lot. Everybody, that was wonderful for me. Thank you for listening. I gotta like give a couple words of my own here. Those guys that called in, they're great. Cracker, great friend of the show. Vince, a great part of the network. We wouldn't really be here tonight if it wasn't for Jules and the magnificent effort she puts in. I mean, it's a full-time job, and she does it for nothing. So if you guys can really do something, throw a couple bucks her way. There's a PayPal. She has an Amazon link, and you can, if you buy anything through Amazon, a lot of people do, buy it through her link. That, a couple bucks here and there really helps. And I mean, she's really put together a whole lot of, just amazing programming. We are the absolute worst programming on this network and the most unprofessional, and I can't thank her enough for giving me the opportunity. And it's just proof that you get your say here. She's never told me to say anything. Don't say that. I got to operate within my own normal codes, but yeah, this is a paradise, and there's no commercial. So do me a favor, and if you can, throw a couple bucks her way. That would be totally awesome. I planned on doing some this week. So yeah, you don't get any kind of program. From whale sounds and snickerdoodles to seriously scary journalism from a lot of people, and then you have us in the middle. You don't get this from anywhere else, and I'm honored to be here. I don't deserve to be here. I'm not good enough to be here, but what the hell? I got a chance, so I'm going to say what I want to say. And up next is Anti-Media Radio, and I like those guys. They have voices that are pleasing. Southern guys. Thank you very much.